Hydropsyche larvae are arguably the commonest caddis larva found in any running river water situation. They require clean, fast-flowing water. They're very common throughout the northern hemisphere, probably the commonest. Whenever I do kick sampling or stone turning, I find probably 5 Hydropsyche caddis to 1 Rhycophila caddis. Very readily eaten by trout and grayling. It's got a row of gills underneath its abdomen, 6 little dark legs, a nice plump, juicy, well segmented body. It's not got deep segmentations like the Rhycophila caddis larva. This has got shallow segmentations, but still quite distinct. One feature that distinguishes it is at the tail end of the natural there's 2 little forked anal appendages with little brush-like filaments at the end. So they're very easy to identify. I've got a semi-realistic Hydropsyche caddis larva. That's got the little tail appendages like the real one. It's got the body gills, and the underside of a Hydropsyche larva is well endowed with body gills. And then I've got the 6 legs, the Veliorti legs. So there's my hook in the vise. I'm using a K4A. And the first thing to do, because this is going to be a deep sinking larva, is to get the lead on. After 2 or 3 wraps, it's well adhered. Now you can just do hand over hand, butting turns. Come down until you're about 1 lead width from the eye. Stretch it slightly, pull tight and go back, again making butting turns. Come along, come along. And when you're about 3 turns short of the end, just nip it off. And now get your tying thread on. And I'm using olive power silk. Now I'm going to just slightly re-angle that in the jaws, just turn it down a little bit, because I'm working right round this bend here. Just trim off that waste. Bring the thread way round the corner, well round the bend. And now tie in your little tail appendage. For this I'm using a filer plume from a partridge feather. If you take any partridge body feather out, you will find adhering to it a little filer plume. It's like a little downy feather, almost like a marabou plume. Just tweak that off the parent feather. Strip off some of the lower fibres so that you've got a little tying tag. Sit this filer plume on with the concave side downwards. Tie it on on the flat. It's got to stay flat. And 2 or 3 more turns catches it down. And then with your scissors, just take out the centre. What you've done is you've made a little grey V. It's just like a little grey V like that. What you do now is you shorten that grey V by holding the 2 tags together. Just draw the 2 sides in and snip across. Now I want my nymph skin, and it comes in 2 widths, wide and narrow. You can see it's in a long length. All you need to take off is about 3 inches, no more. Because it's going to be stretched, a piece that length is ample. Cut a little angular, make a little angular cut at the end. That's the long side, and that's the short side. The long side is going to be the trailing edge. So I position this, I bring my tying thread just a little bit further forward and trap down. Once you've got it tied in, as long as you keep tension on the bobbin, you can stretch it so that the tying point is finer. and tie down very tightly. Now for body gills, I'm using this material. This is natural grey ostrich herl. So choose 3 nice intact plumes, one of which will be for insurance in case you get a breakage. Take out your 3 plumes, hold them all together, backstroke now the fibres to make them stand upright. Tie these in so that they rotate to the underside. So with an upward pull, keeping the bundle all together, tie them in on the underside. Back to the piece of latex. And then you can just roughly tie in the remaining tags. Just come up the body, tie those in. And then you can just keep tension on, just tweak off the waist. That's just a bit of padding, is that? Just to smooth it out. Then return your thread. You need your thread now down at that end because that's going to be used later for tethering your body gills to your abdomen. So drop 2 whips round there, or a 1/2 hitch. And now I'm ready to form the abdomen. So just drop this out of the way. And now take your nymph skin. Remember, the long side is the trailing edge. And now start winding forward. And I make the first abdominal segment. Now what I've got to do with every turn is overlap the previous one. So I come along and don't over segment it. They don't look right if they're over segmented. Now at that stage I'll just ease tension off the hook and just rotate it back vertical, or should I say more to the horizontal. Whatever you do, don't let go of this tag end, otherwise it all flies off. It just undoes. You've no chance, you can't stop it, you've got to pick it up and start again. Now just look at those lovely juicy looking translucent segments. Does that look a grub or does that look a grub? And come along, and as you get down here, now you're approaching the head end, you can stretch the latex more, put in quite a lot of tension now to taper it off to the head. When I get down to the front, I have now to present a thread there to tie it in. So I pick my bobbin up, it could be any thread really, but I've just got spiderweb handy. Just trap the spiderweb between the index finger and the middle finger. Keep tension on the nymph skin. Just peel off thread and make a catch. Wrap round, 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 several times until the thread catches. Pass it over your latex and tie down. And even with one turn of spiderweb, although it's only 4-ounce breaking strain, with one turn, incredibly, it will hold. Break the waist tag off. Just whack on more turns of thread, and there I've got that latex in a vice-like grip now. So all I need to do now to finish this off is to get hold of my tag, stick the blade under and snip. 2 or 3 more thread wraps, and then come straight round now with a 2-finger whip finish. Several wraps, trap there, slip it out of my fingers, pull through, job done. So that's the larva's body completed. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put these body gills on the underside, and that's why this thread has been waiting here to do that job. What I'm going to do, I'm going to follow the edge of the segments accurately with my tying thread. So I'll just show you what I'm doing before I bind it down. I'm following that back edge all the way up with my tying thread. This enhances the segmentation effect, and I'll go up to about there, and at that position I'll put legs in. So I wind back, so that's the position where the ribs are going, where the thread's going. But as I do this, I'll now be trapping these gills to the underside. So I'll just raise some of the fibres here that I've got pressed down with my finger and thumb. So now I start. There's my first turn, and that's my first lot of gills tied in. So now as I work along, I just trap these to the underside, and of course a rotary helps. This Waldron vise is a great boon because it's like a third wrist, and I can just rotate this and make sure with every turn that my gills are tied down in the right place. Rotate it back, follow that back edge accurately, pull on the thread. This raises the gills, rotate it again, pull on the thread, and following that edge accurately. Make sure your gills are central. And you just proceed in this fashion all the way along. And you can actually feel the thread sort of click over the edge and drop into the groove. And this is looking quite good. And I've one more turn to make. So that's far enough with the body gills. So now all you do is you take your scissors and just sever those off. And just trim that up a bit neater there. And now I'll just push these fibres vertical. They just tend to migrate down a little bit to the sides. And they're all now on the underside, and it should look like a continuous frill all the way on the underside of the nymph, of the larva. For the legs, I'm stripping off fibres from a golden pheasant tail, not by pulling down in that direction, but by stripping across like that, and the result is a row of hooked little legs, curved little legs. Take a couple off. Now what you've also got to do is you've got to decide which way you want your legs to slope. Do you want them curving forwards like that, which I think look good, or do you want them curving backwards like that, which also looks good? So it's your choice. What you want to try to avoid is some forward and some back. So pick my first leg up at the back of my thread, feed it over to the far side against the tension of the thread, and place it there. Pick the next one up and place it at this side. And they've gone on nice. Just want to now ease the far one further over to the other side, so I'll do that with the point of my scissors. You can sometimes just drag it over like that. Then when you've got them sighted correctly, all you do now is just get hold of the tip of the fibre and just drag through to set the leg length. Do the same on this one. And then once you're happy with the position, You just pull on the thread and up come the legs. Because what you're doing is you're crushing it into that yielding material, this latex. And then you spiral forward into the next groove, keeping tension on your bobbin. And then you take your scissors and you just come in at the back side and trim off the waist and trim off the waist there. So there's your first pair of legs. Pick up another one, pass it over to the far side, make sure it's in line with its partner. Pick up another one, put it on this side. Just a tiny bit of weight on the bobbin, slide through, pull on the thread, just push that one back a little bit, pull on the thread, up they come, spiral forward into the next groove, take your blade, make sure you go between the legs, don't snip a leg off in the process. Don't they look good? Now, the last pair of legs. Sometimes a certain feather yields perfect legs, and sometimes another feather yields horrible legs. So it's a question of buying a full tail and doing several trial strips to find which one gives the best hurls, the best fibres. And as you can see, this time they're all going on and facing the right direction with very little aggro. And that one just a whisker. Pull on the thread, up come the legs, and now wind through that last spiral all the way up to the eye, maintaining tension throughout. And while you've still got tension on, drop on a whip finish. And then you should have, when I snip these waist sides off, you should have 6 legs, more like a hydropsyche than an actual hydropsyche. And that's it, that's the tying done. So now just rotate it back, come straight on with a 2-finger whip finish and make a nice, neat but obvious head. So apart from the legs, the tying itself is no big deal. Take my blade and off we come. There's one last thing to do which is very important. We've got to colour it. So with a browny olive marker pen, I just wipe along the entire dorsal surface. Try not to get it on the gills. And just make the dorsal surface a nice brownish olive. And that bit up at the thorax, I always blacken. I blacken the thoracic area up to where the legs are. Including the head, of course. Just a touch of head cement, give it a little glossy bounce. So there you are. That's a fairly realistic or a super impressionistic hydropsyche larva.